welcome you to this preview video of the English Premier League match day 32 come weekend starting at the 8th of April of 2022. We are going to do our usual work with the assistance of this Betmaster tool that you can also get your data set, your access to, and so you could compile all the prices yourself. If I say compiling prices, I refer to, everyone is hoping to get the bets that are winning bets, and what the bookmaker does, he's offering you the prices and he's compiling the prices designed to make him in the long term winning money. You get the excitement, he gets the money. But we can turn this around. We compile the prices as he does ourselves, and we try to be this little bit better than he is. And also we have to keep in mind that anyone that compiles prices, they do not have this quality of a tool, first of all, but if they had, they still wouldn't necessarily need to compile according to the probability, which we do by the reciprocal of every probability is the true price, and then we compare it with the market. But his prices are designed to balance out the bets also. So there's a worldwide market when people bet here and there and this side and this side, and he's trying to balance this out. So we have a different approach in that sense. We want to determine the probabilities, while he says there's one goal to fulfill or to achieve. This is, we want to make money, which they are correlated for sure, but they are not correlated to the extent you may fear. So you may think you can't win. You still can. You have to be a little bit better. And then market is, or the bulk intelligence, or those compilers, odds compilers also, but we can do this at a very, very high standard here, assisted by this tool. So it's not giving you the prediction who's gonna win, it's compiling probabilities, it's compiling prices like any bookmaker would do or couldn't do any better. We can do this with the tool at a very high level. And this I've been proving for, sorry, I'm gonna quit this, for more than 30 years. And while not just compiling the prices, but also having the statistical methods to prove they are good. Apart from counting your money, we still can apply many of statistical functions to verify. And of course, I'm showing you many of these while we are streaming. And you can also use these. Here I have the alternate method to compile the prices, which actually is not yet implemented into the tool. It will come in near future. What I see here is there is something gone wrong. Liverpool, Watford, they do not have the same games. So I think I copied something here, but we will be there in a minute, because I took down the, so you can watch me work. So check out the matches. Manchester City are taking on Liverpool, obviously. And here, what does market think? What do we think about it? Or what do you think? And if you know what you think, maybe you also know what you might bet on. I mean, as soon as it's not just a matter of thinking, but it's also a matter of what price would you consider is fair also. And which price would you be ready to pay? This is what the bookmakers usually do, or the odds compilers do. This is the price, the true price. I'm ready to pay this price or a little bit less. Maximum this, a little bit less. And we turn it around and we say we would bet Manchester City for more than 2.26, which we won't get, I'm pretty sure. And we would go with Liverpool or the draw if we get better than 3.59. And we compare the two methods and they more or less agree. Manchester City are the favorites, but Liverpool are not out of the game. 0.36 or 0.3 goals behind. Here we have a price on Wolves, which is obviously pretty low. Market won't agree, but we check it out, of course, comparing with the market. But we see it here already that Wolves are considered to be to be the underdogs, while we say they are favorites. What I think at the moment is that, of course, everyone is fighting for its need. For every game, every ball, every game is competitive. Let's call it like that. Even if the season's goals have been achieved already, but no one can say that for any team, because every better place, also Europe qualification and so on, is relevant. Sometimes the battle against relegation is a bit more important, so they would be able to invest maybe a little bit more, but those days are gone as well. But we see Newcastle are not in real danger at the moment. 30 games played, 29. Okay, the Burnley could still catch up. Coming into 4 points difference, but still it's not in any serious danger. They lost the last 3, maybe tough competition, 3 away games or so, but still the shape is not great. While they Wolves won 3 out of 4. So in fact we have to propose a bet. I mean, we all know that the squad from Liverpool, you can check it out here as well. I mean, I'm not gonna go through but at least to show you here that you also would have this, even with how many minutes they played and how many goals they scored. Not many players that scored many goals in Newcastle's side. Maybe from the strikers, Saint-Maximin with 5 goals, or Callum Wilson with 6 goals. Anyway, you can check out plenty of the squads as well. Of course, I would agree that Newcastle are not this much worse, but all the stats tell me that Wolves are in fact at least level here, 18 more points in the table and so on. Home and away record, of course, we can check that as well and compare it here. Most likely 8-5 is a very good away record. 4-6-4 is not an impressive home record. A Newcastle relative form looked up already. So we have to go with Wolves in a certain sense, although we know the ifs and buts, so to say, right? In Everton Man United, we could even consider the home side, maybe not to lose, which is an awful shape, but also Everton are no good at all. But here this statistic method would fully approve. I mean, I do not like one of these two sides, but in this case I had to 453.82. We compare these. 453.82, we are just within range, so we have a fair chance to go with. I mean, I'm not afraid anymore here to click on it, which I tried to avoid for a while. But the problem is, should I go with a single or a combination or so? Then there's a profile I have here. So I mean, we can go for the safe option, so to say, for Wolves not to lose. We have an edge here and there, so to say, according to the computer. So this would be the safety variation, where you get much more often the money, but you get clearly less. The win for Newcastle would also be the more daring. I could also check, of course, which one is the higher value, so to say, right? The higher edge in the eyes of the computer. but it's not so necessary. I mean, I would rather like to, of course, you to encourage you to check out the tool yourself. Then you can take my settings in the first place, and after a while you say, oh, this price is not so good, I do not agree to that, and I change my settings, and this everyone is welcome to do. In the Arsenal, and then you may get better prices, then you are responsible and you may know what you are doing, because you know this side are better than that, or they are a bit better than you thought. Here we have an X2 marginally, and Arsenal of course lost in their last home game, and Brighton had a long streak without a win. 7 games without a win, a draw against Norwich, not so good. But Arsenal losing 2 from the one was against Liverpool, can happen. Last week was awful, but does this statistical method approve here? It very much does. So we in fact we have another proposal here by the computer that we cannot really disagree on, and of course we see a side that without the win in 7 games and no goal against Norwich, they are no good on the one hand, but also we know it's a tough league, and actually they are playing quite well, which the stats tell us. So, and Arsenal, they did not lose shape, but a 0-3 defeat was not the best application for a win here, maybe. Southampton against Chelsea. Here we even, computer would consider to go with Chelsea. 187 looks like a very good price. I'm not going to talk about Wednesday game. Here it would fully agree with market that Chelsea are no good, and they are in between these 2 games against Real Madrid, and no indication anymore in view of this. So we skip it, and understand also that Chelsea are the one side, maybe no chances upwards and or downwards in the table, so they rather focus on the Champions League. Like, let's put it like that. Anyway, we do not have a clear indication anyway. Yeah, as I said. So Watford against Leeds. Here computer would possibly propose a bet on Leeds. Of course we have to approve this here with the statistical method. Here it says clearly better chances for Watford, but still Leeds are somehow with a decent chance. Here I would not disagree, but we know in this case that Watford are in urgent need, while we can check out the whole table or just look at these stats here. 22 points, 30 points. So they have a game more than the others, so Leeds are still in urgent need somehow. And so in fact I would consider 3, 4, 8, 2, 1, 11 losses at home. So 14 goals scored, less than expected. 34 conceded, clearly more than expected. They scored 17, less than expected. They conceded 38. So it's a game like, well, you do not want to have either side, but still there are certain chances. So in fact, yeah, 259. Now it may be too marginal, and you can also ask your intuition, and maybe, no, it doesn't sound so great. Maybe very slight favorites, agreed, but 259, no, this can't be the price to bet on them. Aston Villa against Tottenham. It looks a bit like a computer would suggest 1 or draw. Home side not to lose, maybe. 225 is the away side. So this is no. And Tottenham are in decent shape, very decent shape. Also we can compare here what I expected and what they achieved. We can see here that 54 points are more than I expected. In goal-wise, they are also better. They scored more. They conceded 1 less. So, in fact, they are quite good. Whereby Aston Villa are also not bad. Also scored more, conceded less. Points are pretty okay. But Tottenham surely fighting for the Champions League. Aston Villa more or less in the middle of nowhere. So we don't go with Aston Villa. Of course, we can compare it here as well, and most likely, yeah, it's very similar, the valuation. So we would have maybe a very small chance by figures to go with Aston Villa, but the table needs, in this case, would just tip the scale. We don't want it. Brentford against West Ham looks a bit like away side again. Yeah, West Ham also lost their shape, and Brentford also lost their shape. So who are we going to go with? 262 sounds like a very, very good price on West Ham, even though we understand here it would more or less agree that, yeah, 237 we don't get this much more, but still it's good enough for a bet. The statistical method might say 247 or something like that, and 262 is still good enough. And of course we can check as well the last matches, last results. And West Ham may have lost their shape, partly losing at Liverpool and at Tottenham can happen, and the other games they still won. So no real loss in comfort. Brentford was of course the 4-1 win at Chelsea, before lost at Leicester, which I also proposed Leicester. And 2 wins, Burnley and Norwich, bottom 2, can happen, but of course it's not a bad shape. They had the bad shape before that. 33 points are more or less what I expected. Goal-wise they are a bit better, but this also refers to West Ham, obviously, who are also in decent shape. I mean, losing these 2 away games doesn't really do much harm to their shape. It can happen. And then 6-3-6 on the road is average, but it's a bit better than expected. We expected only 4.75 wins. They have 5-8, so they lost a bit too many at home, more than those 6.1 I expected. And here we have a little more, so we understand the computer, and we in fact do approve this bet, as it's also approved by the statistical method. So we have a bet here. Another one in Leicester Crystal Palace, 234. That looks pretty very, very high. But Leicester, we can check it here. It's a lot closer. Stats are no good. Stats are good for Crystal Palace. So obviously, if we have a huge deviation here, we can of course also adjust within the Betmaster Tool the settings from Leicester and from Crystal Palace. But in this case, we simply say, no, good enough, I understand. I don't go with Leicester. If you had this tool, as I proposed, and you had my settings even, then still you could do some adjustment. If you want to know how to adjust those sites, I mean, this is a certain process, but we can compare here what we expected, what is the stored strength at the moment, and how did they perform. This is still going along, but here they are actually played even a bit better than they are actually scored. While Crystal Palace obviously played a lot better. This is the stored strength. This is the actual settings from Crystal Palace. But they played at 1.11, so you have some space there to adjust Crystal Palace if you even consider they are better than average. Which sounds a bit curious, but if they play well, why not? But here we can check it if their efforts are really good or not so good. Here it's close to average. This is what I can do. You can't do this yet, but hopefully you can do it in the future. So to say, prove that Crystal Palace are actually good. So in the end, I come to terms with myself and I adjust the settings to show you how to do it, whereby it's not a problem with Leicester really. If it's a problem, it's with Crystal Palace. I would have the space between 0.83, what they are scored, and 1.11, what they played, or the statistical method 0.96. So obviously, which makes perfect sense, we go for the 0.96. So they are playing a good campaign. They are playing well. We see that statistically the results are there. Everything is fine. So we store them here because, yeah, towards the end of the season, you can't make a lot of money with it, but maybe you can avoid losing some money also, right? At least we have, I've shown you this adjustment this possibility how to do it. And now we can compile the price again. I'm doing all the markets once again because that's also an option you have here when it's compiling all the other prices, also correct score and so on. And we will see an adjustment. Now it's 227. Still the 235 is a bit better, but I wouldn't propose a bet. But now you see that you can adjust your own settings according to market, but also according to or following all reason, because the reason is simply there. Crystal Palace are good, better than we thought. Simple as that. In Norwich Burnley, computer would maybe possibly even propose a bet on X2. Would we wish to go with Burnley? It doesn't sound like one, but we can compare the statistical method here as well. And we check it out. They are some slight favorites. It's very, very even to that, but 251, the price I get. 264 is a bit too close, so it's a bit like you know, the bet for the fancy man. It's not a mistake really, but you don't have a margin either, so either you like it or you don't. In Manchester City, I'm pretty happy now. We're coming to this big one, maybe the best two teams in Europe, although maybe there are a few other contenders now, but most likely are still, at the moment they are the best. Let's say, if anything, computer would possibly propose the draw here, which does make certain kind of sense to me. In fact, I mean, Man City will be happy with it. It will be a hard-fought battle. You can be pretty sure. Standings we have here, they are a point clear. Goal difference-wise, Liverpool are better, but with a draw, they would say it's fine. I mean, there's still time. They are playing at the same level, which you also see here, 3.85, 3.89. We can compare it in the statistical method as well. I think I've done so already. This is very close to those evaluations, maybe even a bit more towards the draw. Here it's already indicated, but here it would be with a little bit fewer goals, so to say. It would be even more a draw. And here we see Manchester City are still a slightly better side, but there's not a huge margin between them. They score a little more, they concede a little less, a little more, which makes the quotient a bit worse. But this is the two figures you have to consider in the end, because this is home and away. Here they score a bit more and concede a bit more, which makes their quotient a bit worse. But of course not their chances in that sense, especially if they play each other, so to say. I mean, they are slightly better, worse, you can say. Liverpool, are they? Wow, who would think so at the moment? Both are just outstanding, best you can get, and they're playing some impressive football. Both of them winning on Tuesday, as well in the Champions League, most likely going through to the semi-finals already. And well, the 1-0 win from Manchester City does not make it a certain outcome, but you can expect them not to lose at Atletico, whereby it's all a matter of probabilities. So I would in fact propose the draw in the end, because it does make a certain sense to me. Also in view of the referee's decisions that in these tight battles he would not maybe award a penalty, or rather consider a goal like doesn't count or so, if something is unclear about it, to decide the game, more or less. So we have like 5 bets here. I'm not going through the over-under, whereby you could happily do this when you select your market here, over-under. And obviously I did not compile all the markets. This is a rare exception, because I actually meant to do this for all the leagues. But anyway, I'm not going through this, just to show you here that you could as well go for these. Here's an under, Newcastle, possibly an under Everton looks like very, very marginal. It could be an over 189. We have to it's not an over, but it's close to one. Arsenal is an under against Brighton. Southampton, Chelsea could be an over suggested if we get more than 2.0, which is the case. Watford against Leeds is a perfect over. It looks like Aston Villa, Tottenham also an over. Brentford against West Ham also close to an over, which sounds a bit funny to me. I mean, all those overs, and even in Leicester, Crystal Palace, you see the indication of always true price and best price. Here's an under, Norwich against Burnley, which does make a certain sense to me. And Manchester City, it's neutral or maybe marginally an under. Here you have to really the clash of the titans and also of the systems. Is Manchester City are the chess players, Liverpool are the boxer, or what is the term for that? Anyway, there is no indication, so we wouldn't consider. But it's still, you wouldn't know in this, it's too special anyway, right? So, thanks very much for watching. I tried my best, and check out get your access to the tool. I can only recommend it to you. It's the best you can get, and you will easily and happily and quickly find out. Thank you very much. Bye bye.